Welcome to the second part of the GYROpalooza event. Here we're going to do a Q&A. One of the aspects of GYROpalooza that we really like is listening to your feedback. We take your feedback seriously. It's one of the things that we pride ourselves in is being constructive with the feedback that we get and really implementing that feedback.
Yeah, being a two-way street, it's easy for us to talk about all the things we're doing, but it's also great to hear your feedback, and we take that as a feedback loop to hear what you want, hear what your ideas are, and then on our end, we can see how we can achieve those goals.
Yeah, with that being said, let's dive into some of these questions.
There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
we have a lot of
stuff in the works with Electron. As you've seen, there's a lot of our plastics have been undergoing some changes and improvements. The Eclipse 2.0, we've got a really great plastic. The Fission plastic is one that's really evolved, and we've really refined that. The Electron is definitely one of our next targets of one of these plastic blends that we want to perfect. And one thing that we're finding with the Electron plastic is it is a very broad type of plastic. There are so many different types of Electron plastic. It's a very broad plastic family, and we're kind of at a crossroads of potentially considering splitting it up into different types. You've got different baseline plastics that kind of have more waxy feel, some that got more velvety feel. There's even some baseline plastics that are translucent, like proton plastic, but in a baseline plastic feel. So there's a lot of opportunities with Electron plastic, and there's definitely going to be some innovation taking place with the Electron plastic. Another thing worth noting is one of our goals or one of our plans with the Electron plastic. We want to get your feedback through the development process. As we make a lot of these prototype runs of Electron plastic, we're going to be releasing them to the MVP Pro Shop, and we're going to label all of these prototype runs with the little run ID or formula ID. That way, we get the feedback of what you guys think about each of these. So that's something that we really look forward to in the coming months as we make these prototype runs of Electron plastic. There's definitely going to be a lot of prototyping of the Electron plastic to come.
I think two things that is important to note, like Brad said, it's still an Electron family of plastics, but since the range is so diverse, it may fall into a different category, whether it's a new name or a complement to Electron. So that's something we're looking into. And as Brad said, since there's so many different materials we're testing, the Pro Shop's a perfect outlet to let them hit the market, listen to your feedback. But most importantly, when we launch them, we're not going to include any specifics of the features or their characteristics. We want it to be an unbiased feedback. So when you get them, it's kind of a blind test. So as you use them, test the grip, test the durability, how does it feel? Give us all those details.
Yeah.
And then we take
blind study. Yeah.
Yep.
We want to get that unbiased feedback.
Oh yeah.
I think it will eventually. Again, we have so much on the table, things that we want to experiment with. I think we wanted to roll out our Total Eclipse multiple color glow options first in the premium gold plastic, but I think eventually it'll happen. I would say probably a little bit lower priority than adding more glow options in our current glow plastic.
Just a matter of time.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, as far as about, the change in dome in some of the discs, many are observing that a lot of the more recent runs tend to mold up a little bit more flatter. And part of this has been about the reconditioning process and bringing the production in-house. We are aware that some of these changes are taking place, but we really are embracing these because a lot of these changes are done with long-term consistency in mind. The process, we're going for the most consistent, optimal process, and some of these changes have to take place in order to get a more consistent product. And down the road, as we add to the lineup, we will definitely be bringing back discs with varying levels of dome as we continue to flesh out the lineup. That definitely come with time.
Yeah, to go onto the topic of how do you control dominess and how we've done so over the years. The biggest difference, as of recently, is bringing it in-house. Bringing our molds and manufacturing in-house did result in some change in some of the domes, and especially in our distance drivers. It was a necessary change. The consistency of run to run is utmost importance. Our goal with manufacturing is to make every run as consistent as possible. Now, as a result, our previous molder didn't have as good of control, so there were some very domey runs and some flat runs, all kind of in mix in between. Again, we didn't have any control over those scenarios. However, now with in-house, we have complete control and we have tightened that up tremendously. Now, as a result, some are generally trending a little bit flatter than, say, some of your, outlier molds that were, years ago. So yes, definitely a trend, but a positive outlook on it's most important to be most consistent.
Or focus on the long-term consistency. So there have been some changes. Some things have molded up a little flatter, some things a little more shoulder, but we're choosing the process that makes the most consistent product long-term, even if it means that there have to be some minor changes to how it was previously molded.
And also stemming from that, to answer your question of maybe you like domi or discs, we absolutely will make molds that are more domi to suit those preferences.
Man,
coffee. I'm go straight to coffee, honestly.
Yeah, I get the coffee.
It doesn't answer the question directly.
I gotta have a breakfast sandwich. I'm always in a hurry. I get a breakfast sandwich and go. If I'm not in a hurry, I would maybe go with French toast. Yes, it does.
You're actually right.
Yes, it does. Everyone's kind of came up with their name, and we just roll with it. But I agree.
Absolutely right.
He is absolutely correct. It's supposed to be an Erlenmeyer flask.
It's one of those things where sometimes just fits the broader market versus the scientific atmosphere. So, good point.
I agree.
Yep. It's a good question. Yeah.
It's a very good question. I guess GYROX has been in development for quite a while, and it did hit the back burner for a while. Specifically when we had the COVID situation and we had to scramble to keep up with our capacity, ramp up our capacity. It took a small hold there, but it was in development for even a couple of years prior to that. I guess we can talk about some details about it. It doesn't have to be a complete secret. Some people have seen the GYROX out there. Some of the differences that you'll find with the GYROX is it'll have a white overmold instead of a black overmold, just for visibility reasons. We plan to have a polished surface instead of a matte finish that you typically see on the MVP overmolds. And that polished finish will help give it more grip. It'll be a softer material in that overmold. Another aspect of the GYROX with that bigger overmold allows us to shrink the size of that inner hub of the core. Allows us to make a thinner flight plate, thinner core. Allows us to have more weight into the rim, so it kind of helps enhance the gyro effect as well.
Yep, to stem from that, the emphasis is our current gyro has a volume limit on how much weight filler we can put in that overmold. GYROX is going to open up that window of how much weight distribution we can achieve with that overmold design.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so that one is experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties right now. We are working on it, but might take a little bit of time to get that one optimized.
Surprisingly, some challenges there. Just the geometry is very unique for that one. It created some challenges with the electron plastic specifically. We are aware that this is going to be a great disc for the electron plastic. So we've been working on it, and we've had a few attempts at it that we're not perfectly satisfied with. We want to get it right, so we're still working on it.
Yeah, we're very close, but we don't want to. We'd rather perfect it than offering something subpar.
Eventually, yes. I mentioned in the talking points, we definitely plan to expand on the glitch. It makes sense to have a glow one. Making glow disc has some special considerations with the equipment. There's a lot of equipment that has to be retrofitted to make it just work just right, and so we are working on that. It takes some time to develop a mold for glow, but we are absolutely going to be making a glow disc. It may be a number of months down the road. It may not be number of weeks, but it is coming. But it takes time to develop this.
Yeah, and that's not just particular to the glow glitch. Any glow model takes some special tooling and optimization on the equipment side. So it takes some time, but I'm all on board with the glow glitch personally. So
yeah, me too.
Technically we could. The glitch though was really focused on some of the lighter weights. The mold itself was designed and optimized for the lower weight range. One, because when you're playing catch, you don't want too heavy of a model. With it being a smaller, compact disc golf form factor and a catchable lid, the lighter weight spectrum is probably more ideal. However, will we ever make heavier ones in the future? Maybe, but what I'm envisioning is building a mold that is more catered to heavier weights that have a little bit reduced glide, more specific to that model.
Yeah, specifically the part of the extreme glide that you see in the glitch has to do with the lightweight. characteristics. So when you make a heavyweight glitch, you're going to lose a lot of that glide that you get with that lightweight catch disc. So we have some plans in place for a model that's more suitable for that disc, that putter with less glide compared to a glitch where you've got more glide. So there's definitely some plans for that.
But long story short, don't let the lightweight scare you. Throw a glitch in any way you want. It's designed to be in that lower weight range, so don't let that scare you.
And someone else mentioned about the glow glitches and will they mold heavier. The glow in the dark plastic is heavier, so technically a glow glitch would be a little bit heavier, maybe 10 or 15 grams. It may not be a 175 gram disc, but it might be a little bit heavier. But again, the lightweight is generally preferred for a catch disc. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Sounds
coincidental. I think that would be a
great catch disc, maybe.
Yeah.
But absolutely can be done.
I'm on board.
Good idea. Favorite disc in the lineup? It's been the Envy for quite a while. I don't know. I'm really liking the Hex too.
I see the Envy was my go-to. I could say the Envy. It's changed over the years, of course, but last time I answered this question, I think it was the Envy. But recently, this glitch has been tremendously fun. Most in particular, I've been spending so much time in the warehouse that the glitch is the safest thing to throw inside here. So that's been helpful.
Absolutely. We actually got a very large backlog of product. We've been rebuilding the pro shop with a more robust website infrastructure to handle the high volume of traffic, and we've been producing a number of them. We actually got quite a backlog of product that we're excited to release in the MVP Pro Shop. So you'll definitely be seeing a lot more coming out of it. They do make a good point about replacing some of these out of production or discontinued discs, and I think that the discontinuation of our mid-range lineup and the first a lot of those mid-ranges went out of production. I think that shocked a lot of people. And I think the same can be said with like the slower fairways and some of these other holes in the lineup. It was done intentionally because we feel that those areas of the lineup can be improved. I think that some of the more recent mid-ranges have turned out, they've turned out much better than the original classic mid-ranges like the Vector and Axis. I personally like the Vector and Axis, but that Reactor Hex and some of these newer mid-ranges I think fill the spot even better. Like we've learned how to improve the designs and performance.
Yep, to stem from Brad, at the end of the day, we are always improving, and in particular, disc design is one of our most important aspects. So over time, especially over a number of years, it's inevitable that some molds will just get a little bit dated, and there's always ways to discover new improvements, whether it's geometry or materials or how we mold them. So it's just inevitable that we'll have to retire some molds. Is it possible we can always bring them back? Yes, but generally it's better to just come out with something that's more optimized as a different mold.
We're well aware of your concerns, and rest assured, if there was an efficient way to do it, we absolutely would do it. Part of the challenge stemmed from when we were being met with overwhelming demand. And the turnaround times for filling customer orders were lengthening. We had to kind of look at some of the inefficient processes, and when it comes to the hot stamping, in order to get their orders in a timely manner, we had to make sure that the machines had efficient uptime. And when we're changing foils, it just adds a lot of downtime and it delays customer orders. And we just felt that it was not good to delay customer orders in order to do so.
With some promising outlook, I think once we finish our expansion and improve some of our efficiencies and gaining some of our delivery times, I think we'll be able to revisit that and open that back up sometime soon. The Vertex, I think if you like the Vertex, you should look into the Paradox. That's a great understable beginner-friendly mid-range. Yeah. So if you haven't tried that one, I would start there. But overall, to answer your question as a broad statement, beginner discs are absolutely important. As we know, not everyone's a pro when you start out, so beginner discs are absolutely paramount. I think even stemming from segment 1, we talk about some of our starter sets. We really focused on having a lot more beginner-friendly models on the starter sets, so you should check those out as well.
The Crave is a great fit for a glow disc. I think we definitely should make that happen. We'll double check, make sure it's in our development queue. We've got a lot of stuff that we're working on, and I agree this one should definitely be one. We'll double check.
Spoiler alert: it already is in the queue. So
is it?
It is. It's
okay.
Gonna happen. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Macro discs are really fun. You know, they're kind of a scaled down disc, but they're a little bit bigger than a mini. And they go impressively far for a small little disc. You know, we've focused on the full disc lineup, the full size disc lineup, but it's definitely something I wouldn't rule out in the future for us to explore additional options for the macro disc. They're fun.
I think you know, macro putter would be a good thing to look into. So
Macro envy.
we'll focus there.
I would love that. How'd they know?
I was gonna say that's already in development. It's a matter of time when we get it in production.
Yeah, we recognize that the glow lineup is definitely on the more overstable side, and there is a need for understable. So absolutely, there's going to be some additional options in the glow line that are more understable.
And with a good note, with our new Eclipse 2.0, especially the glow material in the core, generally that plastic turns out a little bit more overstable than what the base model is. So now if we focus on some really understable molds, they'll be more neutral to understable. So when you're choosing your glow, pick a model that you'd think would be a little bit less stable than you desire, and it's usually spot on.
And Chad has a very detailed lab report as to why that is. Why do the glow discs mold up so much more flat?
Physics.
It's just the inherent properties of the glow particles that mix into the plastic.
You know, we have done a few over the years, but we haven't revisited in a while. That's a good question. I think in some of our prism models, usually plasma goes well with some of our prism molds, so maybe we can look into that again.
Yeah. And that concludes our Q&A. We greatly appreciate your participation. Really love hearing your feedback, and we really enjoy kind of giving you our thoughts and some of your questions.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. A lot of good questions, and keep them coming. We had a lot of fun here.